Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Sky Gardner, and this is my first YouTube post. And basically, I wanted to do a video for people who have very small and limited spaces, who are interested in gardening. Me personally, you know, me and my wife, we are not in a house with a yard with land or anything like that. We are in an apartment, but we do have a patio, so we utilize that space for gardening. And basically, I just want to, in future videos, I will show you the actual garden, but just for now, just to kind of give you an idea and some tricks that you can do and some tips to help you out. One of the first things you want to do if you have a small confined space is grow in containers. I mean, that's pretty much a no-brainer. And you also want to grow, you want to have that set up for your garden vertical, or like I have vertical, and I have kind of like on the perimeter. I have 3 hanging gardens, 3 hanging baskets, and I also have 3 banisters, hanging containers on the banister. And me and my wife, we typically use that to grow most of our stuff. We also have a couple of pots around the perimeter, and we do that to still utilize the space, to make the space look bigger than it is. I mean, the thing about it is this: if you put a whole bunch of containers just any and everywhere in the middle, your garden is going to probably look cluttered. Now, some people don't really care about the aesthetics of the garden, but me personally, I like a lot of symmetry. My wife loves a lot of symmetry, so our garden has a certain order to it. But that's just, you know, that's just us. You know, everybody is different. But we try to utilize that space in the air and on the perimeter, and we're actually able to get a whole bunch of plants in that way. To tell you the truth, we have probably over 30 plants up there. It may not look like it, but I think at the most we've had is maybe 30, maybe even 35 plants. But that's what you want to do. You want to grow out from the perimeter, and if you have the space, to grow out vertically. And that's one of the best ways to utilize all the space when you have a tight confined space. So when it comes to that, that's that. Second tip, you need to kind of know the orientation. Well, not kind of, you need to know the orientation of your garden. We have a northwest facing garden, and if you know anything about the orientations of the sun, I mean, the northwest facing garden is normally like a shade garden. That's exactly what it is. But I will tell you this: it's been so hot this year that even with that northwest facing garden, I've been able to grow certain things that I typically probably shouldn't be growing or haven't had success growing in previous years. Honestly, I mean, we got bell peppers growing. Typically you need full sun for some bell peppers, but this year, I mean, we only had 1 plant, but we got a nice amount of bell peppers off that plant. Like I said, we don't get a lot of sun, direct sun. We probably at the most get maybe 3 hours of sun, of direct sun, and even then it's kind of like on the right corner of that patio, and we're on the 3rd level, so on the right side of that patio is where we typically get some sun in the late evening, maybe early morning, and all the combination of maybe 3 hours. But that doesn't stop us from growing certain things. I mean, we have calibrachoas, we have geraniums. If you know anything about these plants, these are basically full sun plants, but they grow. And like I said, I contributed to the heat this summer. I mean, it's so hot this summer. It's been a hot one, and it's been so hot that I think that kind of compensated for the lack of sun that I have on my patio. And to tell you the truth, I thank God for that this summer, because a lot of people, we have some neighbors on the other side of the apartments, and they're kind of like they're basically in the south facing, and everything they had basically burnt up. I mean, the sun was so harsh this year that I just, you know, find it to be a blessing in disguise, to tell you the truth, of having that northwest facing garden. But like I said, you need to know the proper plants that can survive in their orientation. You know, typically we should have shade type plants, but I like color. My wife loves color and vibrant flowers and stuff like that. So I mean, we do kind of stretch what we can grow. We tried to do some experiments with certain things like gardenias. We just couldn't get it to really do good in our garden. I mean, if you know anything about gardenias, they're very fickle anyway. But we grow, typically we have geraniums, calibrachoas, sky pencils, hydrangeas. We got 2 hydrangeas. We have mint, 2 different types of mint, spearmint and chocolate mint. We also have bell peppers. Man, we got a fig tree, little Miss Figgy, got that from Home Depot. So those are typically what we grow out there on that patio. We actually kind of confine that space and kind of tighten it up. And yeah, that's it. But I'm kind of rambling on that. But like I said, that second tip is just to know the orientation of your garden. And I mean, you basically do that with a compass. I mean, a lot of the phones, I know iPhone has a compass already built into it. So once you find out what type of facing patio or outdoors area you have, you'll buy the corresponding plants to go with it. Third tip I'm gonna give you is watering. Like I said, we're on the 3rd floor. So typically what you need to do is this. You have to communicate with your neighbors, because we're on the 3rd floor. I got people on the 2nd floor and the 1st floor. I gotta communicate with them. I never had a problem with them. We typically water early in the morning or late in the evening, sometimes even at night. And I always let them know before I do it, because you know, the last thing I want to do is water my plants, and then you know, somebody chilling on their patio, next thing you know, they got water and fish emotion falling falling on the top of their head. So I mean, you know, typically I give them a heads up, and they're cool with it, you know. But you may not be blessed to have cool neighbors. I mean, they may have a problem with it. So that may be something that you may have to figure out or work around. Maybe you could do self-water. They have self-watering containers that you can buy. You might have to use those. And but that is one of the challenges. I mean, luckily we've been staying at this place for going on 4 years, and we haven't had a problem with any other neighbors below us having a problem with our garden and us gardening. But like I say, we keep the communication, we keep the lines of communication open, so it's no problem. And that's number 3. Number 4, pests. You know, now like I said, since we're on the 3rd floor, I don't get all the pests that I probably could get, or that a person with a yard can get. So that is a blessing in disguise. But at the same time, we still do have to deal with certain pests. Not a lot, but we do. I normally use neem oil to get rid of them, and I spray that early morning, late at night, or in the evening time. You don't want to spray neem oil on your plants in midday or anything like that, because basically you're gonna burn up your plants. You know, one of the problems I was having, one of the pests I was really having a problem with, and I tried to do some research to get the name of this pest, and I probably do some more to get the exact name of it, but I couldn't really remember it. I can only describe it to you. We had some calibrachoas, some yellow ones right there called super bells. That's the name of the people who grow them. This is a proven winner. Super bells, that's kind of like the brand name of it, but basically some calibrachoas. And we had this yellow type, small, it looked like a small, I don't know, maybe a spider mite. It was yellow, and it was almost, I mean, it was tiny, man, almost microscopic. But I noticed that, you know, the plant kept wilting. It just kept wilting. I knew I was feeding it enough water. I was watering it almost every other day, every day. It wasn't really hot at that time. It was a pretty good temperature. We was feeding it fertilizer. I know I was doing everything right, and I couldn't figure out why this plant kept wilting. One day, it's one of the ones in my hanging basket. So one day I take it off by the end of the week, because I mean, it was, at this point it was almost dead, literally. And it was only the one on the right side. I have, like I said, I got 3 hanging baskets, and the one on the right side was the one being affected. And I looked down at the plant, and I noticed, like, on the foliage, it was this little microscopic almost yellow bug, and it was everywhere. And man, it took me a minute to get those bugs away, you know, to get rid of them. And I basically used some water. I end up using neem oil, but the first thing I tried was some water, some cayenne pepper. I had some Dr. Bronner's peppermint soap. If you know anything about that, I took probably about a cap full of that concentrated stuff, and I sprayed that on in the evening. And I mean, that stuff works. It works for a minute, but it came right back. And eventually I had to get some neem oil, and I had to treat it probably every other day in the evening time when the sun went down. And it was a struggle to get rid of them. It took almost about 2, close to 3 weeks to get rid of them. But once I got rid of them, I mean, the plant jumped right back up. I mean, if you know anything about calibrachoas, you know they're very vigorous growers. I mean, them things grow like weeds, man. So once we got rid of that, they start back growing. But that's, you know, that's some of the problems you'll probably have with a patio type garden that's probably elevated, you know, hence the name Sky Gardener. So like I said, in another video, I actually go to the garden and show you around so you can visualize what I'm talking about. But I mean, I'm just basically talking about all the people who may be not, who are probably not in the position or the situation to have a house. That doesn't mean that you can't have a garden. I mean, we got house plants and everything. Also got a sago plant. You know, I mean, we got a lot of plants, you know, because we just love growing things. I mean, so just because you don't have a house, just because you don't have acres of land, doesn't mean that you can't grow. That's totally false, and it's untrue. And man, just trying to give people motivation. You know, one day God will bless us with a house. I do believe in it. We'll have land, and we'll be growing a whole bunch of stuff. What we really want to get into is growing fruits and vegetables. But right now, with the type of garden that we have, we're kind of limited right now to herbs. Like I said, I do have a fig tree, but we're kind of limited to herbs and you know, some vegetables like bell peppers, maybe some tomatoes, maybe even some sweet potatoes. I might try them. And maybe some greens, you know, certain type of greens like some collards or kale, you know, spinach. We may be able to grow that. I tried from seeds one time and I wasn't successful, but I think this time I can get it right. So that's eventually what we want to make that transaction or that transition into. One more thing before I leave. Also, with a patio garden, with any garden, I'm in Georgia. I'm in the north part of Georgia, above Atlanta, probably about 30-40 minutes away from Atlanta. And I mean, we have pretty mild winters, but we have winters. During those winter months, I normally give my trees a break. I give my garden a break. I take everything out of the hanging baskets. I take everything out of the banister baskets. And the only thing I have outside is my mint, my hydrangeas, and my sky pencils. That's the only thing I pretty much have outside. I bring a lot of that stuff in, or you know, I have to do some cuttings or some cloning, things of that nature to get ready for the spring season. Like, so this year I took about 10 cuttings from my geranium. So I'm gonna propagate those guys, and they're gonna be ready for the next spring in 2020. And I also am going to bring in some of the calibrachoas. I'm not gonna bring them all in because, like I said, them things grow like weeds, and I mean, I got too many just to bring in my house. I also bring the sago in. We have a majestic palm, I bring that in. So I mean, it's just certain things that you have to do with a small confined space. And you know, I'm letting you know that it can be done. It can be done. Next video, I'm gonna give y'all a tour of my garden. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Peace out.